What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Saturday. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend so far. If we have a look at what's going on, it's actually quite a mix today. It's not really all red or all green. Some coins are red, some coins are green. If we have a look at the biggest gainers of the day, we actually have Bitcoin Diamond up 20%, Bitcoin Gold 11%, Quark Chain 10%, Ravane, Ardor, Stratus, MobileGo, Nexo, Mixin, and Eternity all up for the day. Obviously, having a look at Bitcoin, it's sitting around $4,300. Bitcoin dominance almost at 54%, with an overall market cap of $139 billion. Which, guys, yes, this means that all cryptocurrencies are now worth less than McDonald's. It's true, guys. 140.25 billion McDonald's market cap. But that being said, we've obviously had a crazy week. A lot of different catalysts just pouring in, creating a perfect storm, which has obviously resulted in a massive sell-off, guys. So we have the SEC coming out, okay? We had their issue with the two ICOs recently. Plus, on top of that, they fined Ether Delta's founder for having an exchange that could potentially have securities on it. It was the decentralized exchange, so that's an issue. Now you have the DEXs worried. You have the ICOs worried. Most of these coins are probably going to end up being STOs. That comes into play. Also, the fact that a lot of these projects still have a lot of Ether that they haven't gotten rid of. On top of the fact that we dealt with the bitcoincash split, which arguably gave some people maybe a lack of faith in the proof of work consensus algorithm, but also just the fact of how easy it is for these guys to centralize these things. Plus this hilarious tweet that came out from Poloniex as if, if you were like somebody that just got into crypto, you could totally understand what that means, right? So we had all that madness happening. Also, not to mention the fact that you have the GPU woes and the fact that people are still worried about Tether. And is it actually backed by money, and was it used to artificially inflate the price? So all of that has a lot to do with why we are where we are. However, according to this article, the crypto bubble hasn't burst. It hasn't even begun yet. So this caught my attention. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, what do you mean it hasn't burst? Like, it's like, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, boy. Like, I thought they meant like, oh, it's going to go lower. They're actually saying that really, this is just a little blip in the road, right? So if we come down here, they say, after all, don't forget, Fidelity with their trillions in assets and the Intercontinental Exchange with its second to none reputation in the stock exchange business are not going to launch their own crypto products without anticipating serious demand from their existing clients and contacts. So we're going to get into the size of the bubble in just a second, but I wanted to talk about this. So you have the CEO of Ambrose, Angel Versetti. He said, I wouldn't compare the current state of the crypto market to the dot-com bubble. The sheer scale of a crypto and dot-com businesses are not even comparable. I do not believe we are or were anywhere close to a bubble with cryptocurrency. The CEO then said that once bankers and financiers get involved and the size of the market swells to between 15 to 20 trillion, that's when it could easily be deemed a bubble. Now, if you see right here, the dot-com bubble, although it does depend on what sources you go to, they all claim it was a different market cap, but just for having an example, 6.7 trillion was the dot-com bubble, whereas currently, now this is a little wrong, it says cryptocurrencies are 162 billion, it's actually sitting around 132 right now, but at the all-time high, crypto didn't even hit $900 billion, whereas the dot-com bubble was 6.7 trillion. We have a long ways to go before we see numbers like that again. So, or ever, actually, for that matter. I also wanted to talk about the co-founder of Crypto Oracle, Lou Kerner. So he came out, I actually have a video to share with you guys as well, but he was speaking to CNBC, and he said that Bitcoin investors should take comfort in the example of tech giant Amazon, which lost significant value when the dot-com bubble burst, but has now emerged as the world's largest online retailer by market cap. So we've talked about Amazon. As you can see right here, look at this. So this was the dot-com bubble. Okay, and this is where Amazon is right now. Now, yeah, they've taken a bit of a hit. Clearly, I think everything's taken a hit. But even in comparison, if you look at where it is down right now to where it was at an all-time high, I mean, look at that massive gain. So he talks about, if you go back to the internet bubble, which is what a lot of us in crypto look for as direction, right? Amazon, arguably one of the greatest companies in history of mankind, was down over 95% for 2 years straight. So when talking about Bitcoin, he says, I think it's a store of value. I think it's the greatest store of value ever created. It should surpass gold over time. However, it will not happen overnight. Now, I actually have this video with Kerner as well. It's only a 4-minute video. I'm not going to play it all on here, but definitely check it out. He hits some really solid points and definitely makes you kind of like rethink the whole situation and kind of just like, stand back, zoom out, and have like a broader picture of what's going on. So I'm going to drop this video at the end, like when all the things come up at the end of the video, you can kind of just click on that and watch it. Now, I also want to talk about our boy, Anthony Pompliano. So he was on CNN repping the community as usual. Definitely a fan of his podcast, and he always comes with a very objective point of view. You know what I'm saying? So some of the things that he went on to say was that we have very deep conviction on long-term basis in reference to cryptocurrencies. And if you look at the fundamentals, the 24-hour transaction volume on the Bitcoin network is around 4.6 billion as of lately, and the market cap is 74 billion. So that's about 16 times multiple of transaction volume for market cap. That's very similar to MasterCard, which does about $11 billion worth of transactions and is valued at about 180 billion. So from a value perspective, it's right there on par with MasterCard. We spoke about this yesterday. Now, you may argue that some of it is exchange volume, but the volume is there nonetheless. He also says that despite Bitcoin's relative youth as a payment rail, with 10 years on the tech scene compared to MasterCard, which was founded in 1966, it's beaten stocks, bonds, currencies, and commodities in terms of performance. Over the next 10 years, his research forecasts that public equity performance will relatively be bleak compared to that of cryptocurrencies. And as we've seen, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset in the past 5 years. That's just something to note. He also finally concluded on the fact that I think all of this has been driven by retail investors. There's been very few institutional investors in the space pre-2018, as we saw all of these institutions starting to come in, right? And we tend to think that, the work done today is going to lay the groundwork for price movement moving forward over the next 2 to 3 years. And as you can see right here, posted by Dennis Parker, he actually has a little bit of infographic for the crashes. So you can see back here, this is essentially the fourth crash, right? So we went from $31 to $2, then $259 all the way down to $45, $1,000 down to $152, and now $19,800 down to $4,000 as a low. So that's only an 80% decrease. How long will it last? Well, if we look at these other ones, first one lasted 1.6 years, second one 7 months, third one was 3.3 years. So you have to ask yourself, are you ready for that if it does happen? But guys, you know what I think just goes to show us that crypto is definitely not dead? The fact that Bizonacci officially just posted another video. So that tells me that we are alive and doing quite well. Really funny video if you haven't seen it, by the way. Anyway, moving on, I also wanted to talk about what's been happening with Overstock. So you have Patrick Byrne, the CEO. He told Wall Street Journal that he's going to actually sell Overstock's landmark retail business arm. So according to him, the company will be focusing on multiple blockchain-oriented startups. What's really interesting about this is right after the announcement, Overstock saw a sudden surge in their share price, which grew upwards of 23% on Friday. You can see right here, he was literally like, we're going to move to more blockchain-related things, and boom, 23% increase. But we've seen a lot of that happening in stocks, right? As soon as these guys start talking about blockchain, the prices go up, etc. So, this is basically what they're doing. Also, the interesting thing was when we were talking yesterday about what BitMEX had released in their newsletter or their email talking about some of these ICOs that have raised over 50 million. You do have Overstock has raised 130 million for their T0 project, which the tokens have yet to be released yet. And, almost certainly, I'm sure those funds have diminished since the time of the ICO, unless they were dumped immediately, right? So a report has also seen Overstock's blockchain investment arm, Medici Ventures, acquiring more blockchain-based subsidiaries, with millions of dollars. So finally, Patrick Byrne says Overstock is actively working to develop new technology that will help make markets more efficient, more transparent, more liquid. He further added that it wasn't sustainable to be the guy who pedals along making 10 to 20 million a year. Oh, only 10 to 20 million a year, that's it. So anyway, according to him, T0 potentially has several multi-billion-dollar properties within it. The move to sell off the retail business, which includes O.co and its World Stock program, is expected to be completed by February of next year. Also, interestingly enough, some people were asking Bakkt if they are going to be adding other cryptocurrencies besides Bitcoin. Unfortunately, they have recently pushed back their launch, but they said we'll consider additional contracts as the landscape evolves and as we receive additional customer feedback about what they want and need. So that's pretty good news moving forward. However, having a look, Kucoin team has stated that they are going to be delisting 6 projects because it is meant to protect their users from losses that may arise from projects that do not satisfy and uphold the crypto exchange platform's terms of service. So we were talking about this, and this is referred to as the purge, okay? We're probably going to see a lot of these projects and coins getting delisted that don't really have high volume, that don't really have high liquidity, or some of them literally don't meet the terms of services or whatever. So you have Gladius Coin, Encrypt Coin, Block Mason Credit Protocol, Publica, Monetha, and Raiden Network Token, which is interesting, all being delisted. So the announcement came after an extensive analysis of new tokens and projects that were listed on the platform recently. The Kucoin team stated that the move is meant to protect their users from losses that may arise from projects that do not satisfy and uphold the crypto exchange's platform terms of service. There you go. We also have Calvin Ayre. Now, he is the founder of the world's largest Bitcoin Cash mining operation, basically saying, we need to just chill, let it go, let's calm down, let's just stop the fighting. You can have yours, we'll have ours, which is good. I'm glad that he's taking this approach. He says it's best to just let both versions of Bitcoin Cash compete with their own visions in the open market and let the users decide. So he says that, from where CoinGeek sits right now, us permanently splitting the change by ABC enacting replay protection will give both sides a win. Bitcoin will live on with Satoshi's vision, SV, whatever, and will finally have a chance to show off the true power of the original economic model. Similarly, ABC can join with the rest of the new chain coin models to demonstrate what they believe and what they can do. So is this a truce? Is this a peace? Only time will tell. Time will tell on that one. Now, speaking on some coin news of the day, guys, I want to start off with our good old friend Ethereum, who unfortunately has taken the 3rd place on crypto market cap lately, but it looks like Ethereum developers have actually been quietly discussing a previously undisclosed upgrade that could boost the capabilities of the technology more aggressively in the short term. So this upgrade is named Ethereum 1X, and it could possibly be activated by June of next year. So the developers believe the proposals are too early stage to be discussed publicly, but they are working on it. So the notes suggest that the Ethereum developers may be under pressure to augment their public roadmap in ways to seek to add improvements at an accelerated timeline. People are getting impatient. Several changes were discussed for inclusion in a system-wide upgrade or a hard fork, currently targeted for June of next year, that have not previously been associated with a 2019 release. The series of upgrades potentially include replacing Ethereum's underlying virtual machine, the component that processes the smart contract code. It would also introduce rent or storage fees for smart contracts that would seek to stem the growth of the Ethereum blockchain, currently around 1 terabyte on a full archive node, which must be downloaded by all participating nodes. So, developers at the meeting also stressed the importance of working privately in order to coordinate more rapidly around the changes, pushing for as much transparency as possible. Vitalik Buterin said that he is uncomfortable with institutional private calls and absolutely against private forums. So, we may be seeing some changes sooner than later for Ethereum. Also wanted to talk about SIRIN Labs, because they actually are going to have an ad for their Finney phone during the Barcelona game this Saturday night, tonight. So that's cool. Check it out. That's going to be a lot of people seeing a, commercial for crypto. Well, for a phone that is also a blockchain phone. Anyway, moving on, I wanted to talk about Tezos. So yesterday, the Tezos blockchain halted for 90 minutes. A lot of people are concerned about what this is all about. Lots of technicals here, not going to go into it. Essentially, the issue was related to one of the double baking instances that happened recently. Some people have been referring to this as double spending. On Tezos, they have something called baking. So this is double baking. If you're interested, I will drop the details below. Moving on, we also have former eBay chief of product officer RJ Pittman says that Ripple, XRapid, and XRP could play a major role in increasing the worldwide growth of e-commerce. Pittman noted that only about 10 to 20% of all transactions in the US currently happen online, which is crazy. You would think it'd be more than that, but it really only is 10 to 20%. He said, we talk about the importance of payments in the future. We are nowhere close to hitting critical mass. Do we have the payment infrastructure? Do we have the scalability? Do we have cost models in place? Because it's going to get bitterly competitive when every single transaction, every type is being done digitally. Pittman says XRP, XCurrent, and XRapid may have a transformative impact, calling them a potential lubricant in the global machine powering cross-border payments for companies like eBay. He says, as I'm listening to the narrative here and sort of the value proposition of blockchain ledgers, certainly Ripple and XCurrent and XRapid, these are the steps and absolutely the right direction, certainly for a business like ours, eBay, speaking of, which is a multitude of buyers and sellers with merchants in 190 countries. We need a new solution because, as I mentioned earlier, we only need to move the needle or move the dial on some of that friction problem in very small increments to have a transformative effect in the financial architecture of our company. So that is adoption moving forward. You are seeing people getting involved, realizing the potential of blockchain, the potential of XRP. Also, last night, if you guys came out to the live stream, thank you so much. I had an opportunity to talk to Robert Beadles again. As you guys know, he is the president of Monarch. Now, the Monarch is another one of those projects that's also out there. You know, they already have a downloadable app. You can use it with all ERC20 tokens, as well as Bitcoin, Stellar, Ethereum, GoChain, and XRP. And the thing is that the wallet is completely decentralized, meaning that Monarch doesn't store or keep any of your private keys, and it doesn't have access to your funds either. So, you know, obviously, when you guys use things like Coinbase and BitPay, they don't actually give you your private keys, so it's like 100% centralized. You basically just have to trust them. The Monarch wallet's also free to use, taking no fees when users withdraw or deposit funds to their wallet, which is cool because currently, I think if I cash out of Coinbase, I think it's like 3% or something like that, which kind of sucks if you're doing a lot of constantly going back and forth from fiat and not. And, you know, the other thing, too, I wanted to talk about is that by the end of this year, it says that users are going to be able to buy and sell cryptocurrencies for US dollars on the Monarch wallet. So I'm very interested about this too. So it's like a one-stop shop and it's completely decentralized. So obviously the fiat gateway will be pretty cool. And then they're going to have Monarch Pay. So using Monarch Pay, users can pay businesses in cryptocurrency and Monarch will instantly convert the funds to US dollars to pay these businesses. A virtual debit card will allow you to pay for nearly any goods or services using cryptocurrency, whether or not they accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment. So definitely a lot going on for adoption as well, guys. Now, moving on. The Mt. Gox trustee announces efforts to extend deadline for civil rehabilitation claims. What is taking so long? I mean, honestly, you think at this point this would have been settled. So as reported, roughly 24,000 creditors are thought to have been affected by Mt. Gox's hack. If you guys are new to crypto, just Google Mt. Gox, MT Gox. Crazy. So it resulted in the loss of 850,000 Bitcoin, which was roughly 460 million at the time, would be worth a lot more right now. So basically, yeah, I guess this is still ongoing. So if you're somebody out there that needs to get the ball rolling on this, come on. The guy's been trying to get this going for quite some time. Now, I also want to talk about the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, or DARPA, is seeking to get a better understanding of permissionless blockchains, but looks like Bitcoin does not appear to be invited to the party. So, it looks like these guys have sent out a request for information on permissionless distributed consensus protocols, specifically touching on aspects that have been inadequately explored. So basically what they're trying to see is they understand that, okay, Bitcoin is secured because miners, and they're incentivized to mine because they get the currency back. Well, one area that they're seeking to get a better handle on is how permissionless blockchains can function in the absence of monetary incentives. They're interested in alternative methods. So other transfers of value to be considered could also be offering participants access to computing resources. So that's basically some stuff that they're looking into. Now, in the same vein, I just want to talk about this. This is a crazy story. So you have a teenager who made bomb threats for a living like this was his job, has been sentenced to a decade in prison by a Tel Aviv court after making a small fortune in Bitcoin. So it looks like he had a business on the dark web where he would charge you money to do bomb threats. Like that was this is the most random thing I ever heard of, but it looks like he did over 2,000 of these threats during his career. He's only 19 years old, so think about that. I mean, this guy's been busy. So he was charging $500 for a threat for a jet, $40 for a resident, $80 to a school, and apparently over the course of his career, he was able to accumulate 184 Bitcoin, which is currently $0.8 million at the current price. Hell of a racket, kid. Hell of a racket. All right, moving on. Speaking of some other stuff that happened, so you have a hack that went on. Now, this was with SIM cards. So you have a New York City man has been arrested on allegations of stealing $1 million in cryptocurrency from a Silicon Valley executive using a smart-based vulnerability known as SIM swapping. So basically, essentially, and listen to this, guys, if you don't know how this works, because this could affect anybody. So in an attack known as SIM swap, the attacker is able to contact the victim's mobile phone service provider and claim that their phone was stolen. The thief will then attempt to convince the service operator to remotely reassign all of the phone's credentials and information to a new device belonging to the thief by answering some security questions. So begs the question, who is this person? Was it somebody that knew the guy, right? So the same thing happened in this particular case. So I just wanted to bring this up, guys, because this could happen to anybody. This actually happened to... yeah, this actually isn't the first time this has happened. There's another case as well. So I'll drop all the details down here. Obviously, this is something that could affect anybody. And if you're worried about could this happen to you, it could. So definitely drop this below if you guys haven't seen it. That being said, guys, I want to kind of end early today. I know the videos have been going a little long. I just want to remind you how early we are. I mean, I would have to say, where do you guys think we are? Would you say we're definitely not innovators. That's where this is past. I would say we're somewhere in the early adopters to the early majority, but considering how many people actually own cryptocurrency, you know, they did a study recently. I think it was like 8% of US citizens and about 1% of the global population. So I would say we're still extremely early on this moving forward, guys. And that being said, always remember, your funds are safe with Binance. No, actually, I don't know. I can't say that. They're never safe on a centralized exchange, guys. I just love that meme. Anyway, guys, want to remind you once again that the Ledger Nano S is available half price only for a few more days. I think there's only 1 or 2 more days left. So you can get the matte black for 50% off. They're usually $100. Today, they're $50. I do have a link below if you want to support the channel. It definitely means a lot. If not, doesn't matter to me, guys. Definitely go out, get yourself a Ledger. We also have the Blockchain Brief newsletter, guys. We did 3 giveaways. We had Trezor wallets. These are the 2 Coldlar wallets that we're giving away in next month's episode. If you guys haven't gotten the first one, it's totally free. You just enter your email, you get it totally for free. Obviously, moving forward, there'll be $5, but the first one is totally free if you guys want it. That being said, guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. It is the weekend. Markets aren't too bad. Is it the worst? Guys, we don't know where the bottom is, but all I can say is I'm in it for the long haul, and thank you so much for everyone that keeps liking, subscribing, commenting, joining the Telegram channel, signing up for the newsletter, stopping by to say hello. I freaking love you guys. You're awesome. That being said, my name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto, and peace out.